Good night. A.J. Mahari here. Have you been ghosted, discarded, or you're in the BPD limbo and all those iterations of revolving door relationship, etc., on, off? Whatever the iteration of your situationship at the moment, are you feeling frantic about wanting your ex back? And if you are, do you realize that that's because there's a lot going on there, but you are frantic to get the ex back based on how important it is for you to get out of the pain you're in. So may I just suggest there's another way to get out of that pain, and it's get into a healing recovery journey, working with someone. I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you. It's not to go back into the pain you're still in and exponentially increase it by going back to that BPDX, if that's even possible. So on a short that it's part of my archive clips, it went up, I'm not sure when. Commenter comments, I watched hundreds of hours of BPD-NPD videos, much of it your content, which is excellent. You are appreciated. Well, thank you so much for the kind words, commenter. I'm much better than I was, say 90%, but I need to do this over here, don't I? I can't let her go completely. But of all these hours of all the videos, including my content and wherever else, this person watched, they said, of all the hours, this video hits my original feelings in a way nothing else has, whatever that means. And so that was the Frantically Want BPDX back short. Something maybe a lot of people can resonate with, although you might not feel that you're 90% better as this person does. But even isn't interesting and a kind of a testament to how painful these relationships and breakups really are, that they can't be treated as those new kids on the block coachies are trying to treat BPD relationship breakups as you would treat other breakups. No, they're much more complicated, they're much more elongated, they are way different than what you would say about a breakup with somebody who isn't cluster B and where your codependence might not have been as triggered as strongly. So the commenter says, I hate to take up your time like this. I need to buy a few sessions. Well, it's okay. I'm going to answer this. And if you want to know more, if you would like to work with me, I'd be more than happy to help you with this. I got ghosted, which was difficult at that time. Things seemed back on track, although in retrospect, I could put what happened in the jargon. Commenter continues, and I recognized my compulsion to be with her had nothing to do with her. It's interesting, because you'll find in your own process, if you get into it, depending wherever, I'm out here to work with anybody who's like wherever you are in the process, right? You don't have to be no contact. I have lots of clients who haven't gotten there yet. So whatever the case, because as a commenter alludes to here, their compulsion, I have to find it again, sorry, to be with the BPDX had nothing to do with her. So, well, had nothing to do with her might be a bit of an overstatement, but it's not all about the borderline, like I've always been saying. Commenter continues, I'll go back over. The commenter recognized that his compulsion to be with her had really nothing to do with her, the BPDX. Well, it had something, but in this commenter's case, realizing not everything to do with it. So the commenter continues, and I speculate, but I still had to deal with it, and I couldn't find anyone to explain. And this is what I'm talking about, that when you have the breakup or you're in the limbo and all those iterations after BPD, or you're not sure you're going back, that codependents have these repetition compulsions and might not know the very depth of why in your emotional landscape. So he couldn't find anyone to explain, and it is difficult to understand, and you do want to get to the core of this in your healing recovery journey so that you could break free and break the betrayal bond with the borderline. And that's what I'm out here to help people do, if I resonate with you. Commenter continues, and for a year, she wouldn't block me on social media, even though, as a commenter said, I asked her to. Occasionally begged her to. And he says that really messed with him. The commenter continues, right? As my compulsion ceases, I have feelings for her. Sounds like somebody's a little bit confused, but everything that they've said is understandable, and now they're believing 90% better, but again, compulsions aside, maybe some healing there, but maybe not deeply enough yet, but a lot of work. Commenters now saying, well, but I have some feelings for her. Can you relate to that? Does that resonate with you? So the commenter also says, not only does he have feelings for her now or again, and even all this stuff, I just accept that even in her disordered world, I wasn't something to her. I've known her for 20 years. She broke a lot of patterns with me. Her twin told me she really loved me, dropped all other lines, which she doesn't do, of communication, I take it. I know I sound cliche. I don't know there's any cliches in the agony of people trying to heal and get over these relationships. And the commenter continues, this wasn't an internet thing, and I got cycled through, but my cycle wasn't her normal. Okay, that's interesting. I'm not sure what the commenter means there. 100%. So I'm left with if, ... writes the commenter. Maybe even I know better. I can't get to feeling. I can't get to, the feeling of knowing better. So it goes, says the commenter. Trying to get to the feeling of knowing better? I hear you, commenter, and I understand what you're saying. I'm not trying to pick apart your grammar. It's not that. But you won't get to a feeling of knowing better if you're not feeling differently. And when you don't know better, that means that some of your thinking is still in the patterns of codependency that's driving your feelings. So you can't know better because of the thoughts you're thinking, whether consciously or unconsciously. You're coming back around to feeling like, again, you have feelings for her. And so your thoughts are driving your feelings. And interesting that you did say, maybe even I know better, I can't get to the feeling of knowing better. So there's still some thought, maybe distortions, and negative core beliefs in there, perhaps, in the internal critic. Hard to say. And so it goes, as a commenter. But should one leave it, radically accept, yes, it is the way it is right now, but should one leave it as so it goes because you don't want it to continue to go that way? Because if it does, the commenter, and anybody can resonate with this, might end up back with that ex again. And this person says, and I have no reason to disbelieve them, that they feel like they're 90% better. 90% better, but now with feelings for the ex again. And knowing better, but can't seem to get the feeling of knowing better. That's a slippery slope, dangerous place to be. So even though this commenter knows that his previous compulsion to be with this one person, this borderline, this woman with BPD, his ex, that wasn't all about her, even knowing that, his feelings, what would it have been in that short video that the short that I put up that was, like a clip from a video I've done. It's probably a video that has in the title, BPD breakup, frantically wanting your ex back or something like that. Point is, though, this person has come so far and really clearly has done a lot of work and understands a lot about this. The compulsion had relatively, well, they said nothing, but not all to do with the borderline. Working through a lot of things, it sounds like. Then, I don't know what it was in the short of mine that tweaked the feelings to this commenter's had, but now, even knowing that compulsion, well, as a commenter said, with nothing to do with the borderline ex, I would say something, but not all. And now, he's back in a dangerous place of having feelings for her again. And it's likely that the having feelings for her again really isn't all about her, or isn't what the commenter is feeling and or believing right now. These relationships are so difficult to come out of, to work through. Somebody at 90% better now having feelings again for the BPDX. And what that means really is, as I think I typed in my comment on the channel to the commenter, there's been something tweaked inside of him that indicates there's a deeper level to go. There's still something else to realize and heal. And so for many people, you might not be anywhere near 90% better. And here this commenter is 90% better, as he says, but still struggling in a way with more feelings. And that means more thoughts about his borderline X. So, please don't listen to well, you can listen, but be really, it's not up to me. Be really discerning, though, about who you're listening to out there with the Johnny-come-latelys, who are the coachies who probably don't know much about psychology at all, let alone cluster B, and specifically borderline personality, when they're trying to strategize and recommend and doing, in one person's case, all their videos around no contact and when you should break it or how they should break it or how you should man up and not let the borderline woman know how you feel and all this other kind of absolute nonsense. It's troubling. I hope people are being discerning out there. There's a whole lot of things going on the internet, and I'm running into some interesting things. And I'll have a lot more coming on what are those interesting things. They're interesting, but they're very, very troubling. For people that are out there, wherever you're at in this journey or process or limbo or on-off, or you just got ghosted, you're not sure if it's a final discard, people, you need to take this very seriously. You need to know there's no future with an untreated borderline X. There's no future with a not pretty much recovered, healed borderline X. It's really, really important that people watch or read reliable or listen to reliable information. And this commenter, I hope you might book some sessions with me because I would really like to help you through what's going on between your keen awareness about the compulsions, which it seems you worked through, but saying it had nothing to do with her is interesting because it's not all about the borderline X, but it had something to do with her. And then it had a lot to do with, maybe you know already what that a lot of other was to do with the compulsion. And even beyond the compulsion now, you're having these feelings. And there's something deeper rattling around in maybe still a partially wounded inner child, but in your unconscious. And you really do need to process that because it seems like, and I don't know, but it might be coming still from negative core beliefs. It seems like it's thought-based driving your feelings. And there was something in the short that you heard of mine. I apologize for that. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. I want to help people, not... But maybe this will turn out to be a little bit... maybe this will be really something valuable that is just a piece of work that you need to revisit to really get through it. Because now those feelings you're having for your BPDX again... Believe me, people, please, when I say that when you have these feelings, whether you've just been ghosted, you've just been discarded, it's been a while, you've been doing better, you've been working on your healing process, it's so difficult to break the betrayal bonds. It's so difficult to find your way to healing the codependency. Worth it, though, rewarding, but don't jump ahead of yourself. And I really hope you're not listening, or taking seriously or wanting to follow the advice of people who seem really gimmicky to me. Like, I don't know where this attempts to normalize a relationship with somebody with borderline personality disorder is coming from. It's not just the one main guy who's doing it. There's a couple others who've been talking about things like this and maybe more just general relationship coaching things that aren't always about cluster Bs, but they're now doing it too. And there's another one out there that thinks this can fix all love, because love fix. And again, doesn't seem to understand that the BPD relationship breakup is one of the most painful things that people can encounter and people need to heal from, not revisit over and over and get hurt more and more and lose yourself to it. Some people actually lose their lives to this, ladies and gentlemen. This is really serious and really important. You really need to be concerned, and you really need to get on this. You really need to stay in the action of it to the completion of your healing and recovery journey. Because this commenter, if you can resonate with anything they shared, you might not be anywhere near 90% over anything. But this commenter, I believe, really has come far. But now something triggered him, tweaked him from that short. He went back to some feelings. And that can only mean really one thing. And now having feelings for the ex again, that the feelings that came up that seemed to touch this man indicate there's something deeper to know. Be happy to help you through the rest of your work if you're interested, because it sounds like it's a significant piece of work, but it's not necessarily huge or won't necessarily take a long time. But I would really say to the commenter, please don't ignore it. And I would say the same thing to you, whoever you are, if you resonate with this commenter in ways about whether you're still reenacting compulsions, codependent repetition compulsions, obsessed with them, whether they're around or in the ghosting periods or whatever's going on, or if you've been discarded, then I don't know how to put this, but I have so many clients I have had over the years as well, that they know so much better up here, but they are still in danger of going back. And I've had many clients go back many times over. And then how do people finally get to that place where they know and feel at the same time that no matter how it feels and no matter what the thoughts are, that you just have to do a hard stop and then learn to cope with the hard stop and be able to move forward. And it's a battle. It's not easy. It's challenging. And it's about leaning into adversity. Pay attention to how you feel. And let me just also say, because one of these Johnny-come-latelys is out there saying, in the middle of all the no contact, the contact, the trying to get the ex back strategy, whatever the heck's going on over there, you're going to be really hurting when you're first ghosted, or if it's a final discard, or whatever the case. And then he says, quote, don't trust those feelings, end quote. Could there be any more crystal clear gaslighting than that? People need to trust their feelings. The feelings that aren't the most trustworthy are that you want your ex back and that this is good for you. But you do need to trust your feelings insofar as you do need, in a healing recovery process, to get way more in touch with your feelings. And in the case of this commenter, it sounds like feelings that have come back up, even though they worked through the compulsion and knew it wasn't all about the BPDX. And now feelings are back again. And who do they really belong to for the person that commented? Who in his life do they really belong to? Because they're probably not about the borderline X. And yet that is a belief, and largely out of a negative core belief somewhere, that got reactivated in a way.